Fort Hood in the spotlight for months for the wrong reasons. In wake of the disappearances, the deaths, the mystery, and the uncertainty on post, we wanted to know what Congress is looking to do. Tonight, we're one-on-one with U.S. Senator John Cornyn to get some answers.
Let's start with Fort Hood. Last week, you penned that letter to the Secretary of the Army expressing some pretty deep concerns. This week, the Army sped up some leadership changes there at post, so it's now under new command. Does that go far enough to address these disappearances and these deaths?
No, it doesn't. It does, I think, suggest how serious the Army is taking this. In my personal conversations with Secretary McCarthy, he's made a trip to Fort Hood to conduct a personal investigation, and now appointed this independent group that of really very talented people who will then report back. And then ultimately, then it's going to be for the Army to suggest changes that they want to make, but then Congress is going to weigh in too. We owe it to the young men and women who serve to make sure they're better protected. And there just seems to be an inexplicable outbreak of strange things happening at Fort Hood. We just got to get to the bottom of it.
You know, one common factor we hear from all of these families is transparency. They can't get any straight answers for weeks or months about why or how their loved one disappeared. Do you think there's a secrecy problem at play here?
I think there's a cultural problem. Part of the difficulty is there's a criminal investigation ongoing, and ordinarily criminal investigators don't publicly divulge the results of their investigation until they're ready to recommend charges. That's one stage, but there will be complete transparency from the independent investigation. It doesn't have anything to do with a criminal investigation, but to look at the command structure to see where the mistakes were made, and then ultimately Congress will have the authority to pass legislation and to make other changes which we deem appropriate.
The family of specialist Vanessa Guillen is pushing for this I Am Vanessa Guillen bill to get introduced in Congress and then passed through Congress. Effectively, it would allow service members to report sexual harassment or assault to an outside agency, to a third party. Do you support that bill?
You know, there's a lot of discussion about whether we should go outside of the chain of command. You know, the military is a unique structure. It's not like the rest of our civilian government, and there is accountability up and down the chain. I think my preferred course of action would be when commanders don't do their job, that we remove them, we discipline them. It's not the first time we've sort of debated this inside or outside approach. So I'd certainly be willing to consider it, but I think, like I said, this is not a new debate.